Hey YouTube, that is my very first PT Cruiser. Bought it just a couple of weeks ago. 2007 PT Cruiser convertible. You know, there's a whole lot of videos out on YouTube as far as why that car sucks. So I wanted to do a video for you and give you the reasons as far as why that car doesn't suck. In fact, not only why that doesn't suck, but there's also a lot of videos out there as far as Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep in general just makes crappy cars, crappy quality cars. So I want to take a few minutes this morning and tell you why this car doesn't suck. First of all, there is a guy out on YouTube named Scotty Kilmer. You've probably seen his videos. You know, he's a guy that stands out there and he talks like this, and you know, he goes on and on about different things, and he waves his hands around and he talks about all these crazy things about cars. Now, Scotty claims to be neutral. Folks, if you watch his videos at all, you'll come to find out pretty quick. I don't know how this guy claims to be neutral, but the bottom line is, if Toyota's not paying him money, he will tell you that Toyotas and Hondas are good cars, but he always leans in the direction of Toyota more. No question, Toyota and Honda make great cars. In a four-cylinder car, it is very difficult to find any car that's better than a Toyota or a Honda. Which one is better? I'm not even going to get into that video. But again, Scotty will just tell you the Toyota is the car you should have, and the Toyota makes them. Yeah, okay. If you haven't seen Scotty Kilmer's videos, go watch them, and you'll find out pretty quick. Let me give you a quick example of why Scotty Kilmer is biased. He did a video. Go look it up. Put in the caption of the video, this car has a serious problem. Look, the guy hates Chryslers, okay? In fact, he made one of the most idiotic statements I think I've ever heard anybody make, and that Chrysler has been making crappy quality cars going back to the 60s, 70s. If any of you are my age, I'm 58, okay? If you remember the Slant 6 engine in Dodge Plymouth cars, that motor was indestructible, literally indestructible. The old 318 engine, which Dodge was still using in their 2000 model when they did that whole remake of the pickup truck, those trucks are still on the road. But the old Slant 6, 318 are amazing engines, and the quality of the car around it. But again, if you watch Scotty Kilmer, he's got a video where he even rags Chrysler's quality going back to the 60s. But anyway, he does a video on this car, this type of car. And the caption in the video says, this car has a serious problem. The stupidity of it is, it turned out that all that was wrong with it was the thermostat. And he actually fixes it, and it was the thermostat. But to show you how biased he is, the caption of the video says, this car has got a serious problem. And I've been telling you people not to buy Chrysler products, not to buy Dodges, Daniel. So anyway, this car does have, if you do your research, it has a few problems indigenous to this particular car. However, any American four-cylinder car, Chevy, Ford, four-cylinder, okay? Any four-cylinder American-made car virtually has some of the same problems that these cars have. Now, there's three main problems that the Cruisers run into. One is a grounding issue, okay? 3/4 of this car's electrical problems are related to a grounding problem. It really was kind of stupid what they did, but it's a simple fix. The second problem with this car is what's called the TIPM module, the TIPM. It's not the main computer module, it's called a TIPM. The computer tells the TIPM what to do, and it turns things on and off. A lot of times, guys will turn these things into the junkyard or put them up for auction because they think the transmissions have gone out, because the car's gone into limp mode, and all it is a $300-400 tip-em module that straightens the problem out. The other problem that this car has, which this is really stupid, they go on and on about the timing belt and water pump in this car. Front wheel drive, 4-cylinder, American made car. Actually, more than American made cars. Every one of these 4 cylinders that have a timing belt, American or not, they tell you at 100,000 miles to replace the timing belt. All of them do, but for some reason they want to rag the Chryslers about these belts. And the funny thing about it is, if you're doing a timing belt on one of these cars, you replace the water pump while you're in there, and there is a couple of year models in there where it was questionable about the seals they used around the cams, and even one that they had around the crankshaft. But if you watch the videos, as far as how easy it is to replace those seals while you're replacing the timing belt and the water pump, you replace the seals, you put new belts on the car, and you're done. It's the only other issue this car has ever had was some front end issues. And again, going back to other 4 cylinders, I had a Ford Mustang, the same kind of struts in it, same problem, Ford Mustang. But if a Chrysler does it, and it's Scotty Kilmer talking about, oh my God, I can't believe you guys are buying Chryslers. Oh, they are just the worst cars in the world, and everybody goes out after I tell them. Struts, common problem in how many cars? 4-cylinder front wheel drive, front end bushings, tie rods. Look, Chrysler, I do know this. Chrysler, because I remember my dad, he used to always buy Chrysler products. Always had problems with tie rods. I don't know what it is about the way they make them or who they're getting them from or what the deal is, but tie rods have always been an issue for Chrysler products. As far as whether it's an issue for other cars and front ends, you know, if you're a mechanic who can do things at home, not an expensive repair. Take it to a mechanic, a little bit different story. And then the deal is, everybody wants to junk these cars because they don't hold their value. The funny thing about it is you can get them for next to nothing with low mileage on them, fix the few things that are wrong with it, and you've got a good car for another 100, 200,000 miles. The thing about it is, if you're trying to buy one and resell it, they don't hold their value. They're not going to bring a lot of money. But if you want a car to fix and drive for a while, it's an inexpensive car. But again, Ford, Fiesta, Focus, some of their other 4-cylinder cars, go look at what they're worth and what they'll resell for. Go look at Chevys in a 4-cylinder, what they're worth and what they'll sell for when the car has over 100,000 miles. So, you know, the thing about the Chrysler is, as far as the issues with this car, there's 3 or 4 problems that they have. In fact, I have a 2013 Chevy Silverado sitting in my driveway. They go on about cheap materials being used in these cars. My 2013 Silverado dashboard is cracked all over the place on the dash. It is made out of far worse plastic than this thing ever thought about. But oh boy, if you start talking about a Chrysler product, you know, the funny thing about this car too is that the materials, watch this. You'll laugh about this if you don't know this. So everybody wants to rag Chrysler, okay? The same people like Edmunds, Car and Driver, will do reviews on Chrysler, Dodge, and rag them about ride and drive, plastic materials being used, things of that nature. Did you know that Jeep is made by those guys? That's right. The same people that made this car are making Jeeps, have been making Jeeps since the late 70s. Chrysler bought out Jeep in the 70s and has been making every model of Jeep ever since. And if you read the reviews on the Jeep, oh, it's a great ride and drive, the plastic is good quality, blah, blah, blah. It's the same stuff. It's the same material. It's the same people. And yet, that's who made them. So, the hypocrisy and why, who is behind hating Chrysler and Dodge, and yet can write a review and say a Jeep is a great product, or a good product, or a good quality product, and yet hate on the same people that are making these, including the same people that are making the Ram pickup truck, which they think are great quality trucks, made this. You know, folks, you just get into, somebody's got an axe to grind, you know, they just, I don't know what the reasons are. Now, the other thing I'm not going to change your mind about probably is the style and the looks of the car. Personally, I love it. Why? It's different. It's not like every other cookie cutter car on the road. It's not like everything else. It's totally out of the norm. It's totally out of anything else, which again, some people sitting there go, well, you shouldn't have done it. Back when it was made, everybody thought it was great. Then all of a sudden it became the joke on the road, and yet every review I've watched where somebody took it for a ride, they were like, you know, honestly, the car actually rides well. And on a final note, for all those guys that are out there that have ragged this car about power, this has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever watched. It is a 4-cylinder, 2.4 4-cylinder. And first of all, as far as quality and reliability, whatever your age is, if you're getting behind the wheel of that car and stomping it to go 90 to nothing in a 4-cylinder, no 4-cylinder was ever made to be driven like that, okay? But it's a 4-cylinder. So the other thing about these cars are, how are they treated when everybody's ragging them about how good a car they are? How are they treated? How are they taken care of? How are they maintained? Okay? I don't agree with putting a turbo in this engine, or any other 4-cylinder for that matter, because it's a 4-cylinder. If you get behind the wheel of the car and you stomp on it and it's like, oh, the car's got terrible pickup and it's got terrible power. It's a 4-cylinder. It's not going to do what a 6 will do, and it's not going to do what an 8 will do. I have never had a problem getting on the highway, passing somebody, going around somebody. These idiots on a 2-lane back road, I'm going to take this PT for a ride. Oh, the power is terrible in this car. Look, maybe a Honda and a Toyota and some of the other 4-cylinders have a little more oomph than this, but it's a 4-cylinder. It's for pleasure cruising. It's for everyday driving. If you're trying to fast and furious this car or any other 4-cylinder, listen, I have a son who, I don't know how many cars he wore out trying to fast and furious with cars that were never really designed, and a lot of the fast and furious cars were modified to be able to do what they do. An everyday 4-cylinder, if it's treated like a fast and furious car, ain't gonna last very long. And then you put a turbo on a motor that, granted, if Chrysler did this, it was wrong. If they did not modify the head gasket to handle the additional power that was going to be put into it, that was a poor design. So personally, either I would buy a turbo and treat it well, or I wouldn't have bought the turbo if you're going to beat on it, because the motor's not going to be able to handle it, because they shouldn't have designed that. That was probably the one mistake they made. But I want to show you something real quick. Let me grab the phone here. I'm going to go over to the car. Just want to show you. Bear with me a second, guys. Hi there. So let me show you this real quick. Hopefully the camera will show it. Down in here, down where my fingers are in here, there's one of their grounds, okay? And that is the ground. If you can see the nut in there, the nut actually rusts, and that's what causes so many of your electrical problems on these PT Cruisers. Here's your main computer module. Right here is the TIPM that I was talking about, and you'll watch more videos on YouTube about that module and the problems related to transmission and other issues with this car. It is a $300 to $500 part, depending on who you buy it from, where you get it. And here's one other thing. If Chrysler is really making quality or crappy quality stuff, you ever heard of a word called aftermarket? Buy aftermarket parts, put them in the car, and there's no longer a Chrysler product that's in there. You bought an aftermarket of, quote, better quality, if you believe Chrysler makes crappy quality, and go down the road. The struts, the front end parts, any other parts, anything this car needs, you can buy aftermarket. So, this is my 07 PT Cruiser convertible. Only has, watch this is pretty cool, only has 85, almost 86,000 miles on it. And starts right up. Air conditioning works, shifts just fine. No ugly noises, no horrible issues. Just a beautiful, fun car. You take the top down and you're ready to go. Listen guys, you can buy these all day long, all over Facebook Marketplace, all over the place, and they are fun to drive. They are different than anything else. Maybe I've changed somebody's mind. Maybe I haven't. But the bottom line is, I don't believe that Chrysler makes crappy products as compared to other American-made four-cylinder cars in comparison. In fact, on a final note, if you look at Facebook Marketplace, there's a bunch of these out there with over 200,000 miles on them and still growing strong, still going strong. So, there's my video on why the PT Cruiser doesn't suck. Let me know what you think. Thanks, YouTube.